Good morning, Dog Nation. I'm Cody Chaffins alongside Jon Stinchcomb today. We are in here for BA. Brandon Adams experiencing little voice issues, needed to step away for today. So we're going to pinch hit a little bit. And we can't have one man fill in for Brandon Adams. That's why we got two and brought the biggest man we could find, Jon Stinchcomb, the former Georgia All-American, the Super Bowl champion, going to join us for the entire show today. And boy, there is so much to break down, whether it's talking about the arrows that Kirby Smart is taking after his decision to go for it on fourth down and everything that surrounded that. We will break down that coming up on the show today. We will talk about what we just call the Alabama thing. It is a thing now for Georgia and Alabama. We'll talk to Jon like that. He knows about series histories that are leaning one way, and so we will get his input on that. We'll also do some positive takeaways because we're not going to just stay negative on the show on this Monday. What are the positive takeaways we can go from the 24-21 loss to Alabama? And then we'll also kick around what happened around the SEC, some surprising names showing up for us, and the first firing in the Southeastern Conference in over a year. So we will get to that. Plenty to do on today's show. It is DawgNation Daily, the daily podcast for Georgia Bulldog fans, presented today by Pella Window and Doors of Georgia, and it begins right now.
Today's episode of DawgNation Daily is brought to you by Pella Window and Door of Georgia, viewed to be the best.
Presented by DawgNation.com. This is DawgNation Daily, the daily podcast for Georgia Bulldogs fans. Here's your host, Brandon Adams.
Get into a game sometimes and they say, hey, backup quarterback, go start taking some snaps. And I feel like that was me on Friday. They said, Cody, just so you know, Brandon may not be able to be here on Monday. Go get some snaps. Go get your arm loose a little bit. So Cody Chaffins filling in for Brandon Adams today. It's not going to be the same without BA. We know that. We certainly wish BA a quick recovery so he can get back here with his voice issues. But still a lot to get to here. DawgNation Daily rolls on, even without our leader, Brandon Adams. We've got Jon Stinchcomb joining us on the program today. And there's so much to get to after the first loss since 2019, Jon. It feels weird to come in here after a loss at Sanford Stadium.
I hope it's something that we can recognize, we can celebrate that remarkable run that Georgia had. I think the fans can take ownership in creating such a violent, hostile environment for any team to come into. When you play in Sanford Stadium, it's going to be hard. And, even in this loss against Alabama, the atmosphere was electric. Having been there, the new Taylor Swift bands that were coordinated, that were utilized throughout the game. Sanford Stadium is a place that not only opponents fear playing in, but it's a cool environment. It's fun for our fans, for Georgia fans, to go to these games, especially in those big moments that, you look at the stretch, the historic run that Georgia has gone on. And they're not all big games, but it's still such a great environment to play a game, to host a game, and to experience as a fan. So I appreciate the run. It's disheartening, like every record that you make. It's not going to go forever. I'm sad that it's over now, but what a great stretch. It makes me think back to a number of the games. And Cody, I'm sure you have a list in your mind of some of those great moments that we got to experience between the hedges and be a part of.
Yeah, to go back to it included in that streak, 2022 Tennessee, the number 1 versus number 1 game, the Arkansas game where it was so loud in the middle of a day, a noon kickoff for that day. The streak will start again and things will be okay. But what came to my mind, are you a big REM guy? A Classic City, of course, Athens, REM?
Of course.
Okay, so an REM song came to my head after this, and it was not What's the Frequency, Kenneth, right now? No, it was, and actually, despite what some people are saying in the comments, it's not the end of the world as we know it.
That's where I thought you were heading
right?
with
No,
this. Like, whoa.
But the one that came to my head is, and my best Michael Stipe, everybody hurts. And the thing is, everybody loses this time in college football. We are in a whole different era of college football where losses happen. Kirby Smart warned us about it at the beginning of the year. He warned us about it before last year. This is a time where losses happen. I don't think anybody on our panel, at least on DawgNation, thought that Georgia was going to go undefeated. So the question is, how do you move on from a loss? Because it's going to happen. It did happen.
And Cody, Georgia's not sitting alone in that boat. Look at the teams that are still undefeated in the SEC. Pretty unpredictable at the beginning of the season. Right. Who was it? Missouri, Vandy,
Texas A&M, and Ole Miss.
Yeah, you look at it and you're like, how is that the case? And again, as we were talking kind of before the show, this is one of those things where the expectations shifting a little bit. You look at the college football landscape, we've got more important games that are lined up throughout the regular season. And especially when we go next year, 9 SEC games within the season, there is very little chance that you get to a national championship game and that team is undefeated. And it's much more like the NFL model where it's been any given Sunday at that level. It's going to be any given Saturday because there is more parity. You look, who is the elite team this year? Who is that, Georgia's first couple national championships? You look at the difference in where Georgia was and where their opponent was, and it's such a huge gap that there is an expectation that not only is Georgia going to win, they're going to blow them out. And I don't think that's where we are in college football now. And hopefully we can recognize as an overall product, that's a good thing. Now, we're coming off a loss to Alabama. Can you recognize that? Probably not. There's a lot of sting to it.
Yeah, I don't think we're trying to, and of course we're not trying to excuse a loss away, but we are trying to keep ourselves in a framework of, okay, here's where we are. Here's where we are. Losses were going to happen. Georgia lost last year to Alabama. It's something Kirby Smart talked about after the game, the lessons he learned from the Alabama loss on Saturday.
The lesson I take is that we got a good football team that's got to get better. Like, I love the team in that locker room. I have repeatedly said they enjoy practice. They work their butt off. They're not perfect. I mean, I'm telling you guys, this is the new era of what we're going to see. There's games like that all over college football, and they're going to continue to be. And you know what? They got to go play a good team next week. We got to go play a good team next week. It's just what it is. And I realize it's a big game. I realize everybody wants to make a big deal about it. But for us, it happened to us last year, right? Like we got to go worry about the next one because you can't let this game beat you twice.
It's a good point there. Georgia, after losses last year, both in-season losses, went on to win 4 straight. After the Alabama loss last year, you knocked off Auburn, Mississippi State at home. You went down to Jacksonville, beat Florida, and went on the road to beat Texas before losing on the road to Ole Miss. So Georgia was able to bounce back last year. The question inside the Butts-Mehre building in Athens, how do you respond after a loss?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. You look at it and you go, man, coming off that Tennessee win, and you see that Georgia wasn't perfect in that game. Needed a little extra seasoning towards the end from above to make sure that a kick went wide to have that chance. And you want to learn those lessons and continue to improve on it as a team on a win, on a week where you win and say, man, we haven't played our best ball, rather than the feelings that fans are experiencing this week after a loss, especially when it's against Alabama. With that said, it's not doomsday. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the season for this Dogs team. I believe Coach Smart when he says we're a good team that needs to get better. Watching the film, you look at the team that played Tennessee, good team that need to get better. And I think in some spaces they did. They were able to start answering some of those questions that exist. And they're going to need to do more of that this week and throughout this season. This is not a finished product. There's not that space in talent and in execution of where Georgia is right now than the rest of the herd. And you're going to have to continue to prove to all the fans and to yourselves that we are capable of getting better throughout the season.
All right, so there's so much trying to talk about this loss. Everybody wants to throw blame everywhere. I think one of the person catching the most arrows on this Monday morning still is Kirby Smart. A lot of it circles around the decision in the fourth quarter. Georgia goes for it and fails on a 4th down. So just to set it back up, it was 3rd and 3. Gunnar Stockton ran for 2 yards. Did he maybe get the first down? Boy, on this, that's where I was looking, right? I was standing there. That's the 4th down. The play right before it was 3rd down. Looked like Gunnar might have gotten the first down. Got to the Alabama 8. Georgia goes hurry up right before that play. And they decide, all right, we're going to hand it off to Cash Jones. We can't change personnel. We want to keep Alabama out there. And so Georgia stays in their same personnel, which Cash Jones was in on 3rd. He's in on 4th down. It's a 3-yard loss by LT Overton. There was 13:20 left on the clock. Bama then would get the ball, go 9 plays and punt. Georgia would get the ball back on a really bad 3rd down again. Georgia would have to punt. Dogs would neither team scored again. Georgia was down 3. The question ultimately is, do you kick the field goal, just tie the game, and get back to even? Hindsight's always going to be 20/20, John. When I thought about it, I said, yes, I was one of the guys that, hey, just kick it, man. Let's just get back to even. Let's see if we can beat him for the final 13 minutes. But it's something that Georgia's done, right? Like Georgia did that earlier in the game where they went hurry up on the goal line with Josh McCray. They also went hurry up on a 4th down earlier in the game, and they got it. And then against Tennessee the week before in the second quarter, they were down 21-7. Right at midfield, they decided to go for it on a 4th down. This is the kind of what Georgia has become, is this team that's going to go for it and use the analytics. Analytics said, go, we're going to go. It worked out for them times before. It did not work out for them there. So it's one of those things. Personally, I would have done it, but can you blame Kirby Smart if this is the way he is operating to operate a different way?
No one is above critique, and I think that's what's evident most in this scenario is 2-time national championship winning Kirby Smart is catching some heat. And, in that situation, it's easy to look and say, take the points. You've been down by 10. Your defense has actually answered in the third quarter when for the first half it seemed like Alabama was doing whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, at least through the air, and especially on third down. So here's an opportunity to tie up a game that looked like it could get away from you. Everyone in our section was going, just take the points. With that said, here's what I appreciate, Cody, is that this staff came in with a plan. They came into this situation saying and discussing if this, then that. So if in third down we're going to gain yards, if we're going to make it close, then we've got another play that we like. And, there's so many layers of critique. You read social media and you hear fans that are upset about we should have taken the points. Okay. We should have had a different personnel. Okay. We should have not rushed the play. We shouldn't have called that. It shouldn't have been, there's so many different areas that fans are upset about this particular play more than just whether or not they should take the points or not. So I think you look at it, and part of this equation, and anyone who wants to go back and watch this particular play, you can see it. The play is there. The opportunity for not only a first down, but for Cash to walk into the end zone is there. The issue is you got a true freshman right guard and true freshman right tackle in front of all of the action. And, I've watched their play a couple times, and fractions of a little step there. Glover playing right guard, who I thought has stepped in and played really well. He gets a little bit distracted by a blitzing Mike linebacker through the A gap instead of covering that B gap. And for the fans that saw the play, probably put a lot more on Gaston at right tackle because it looks like, did he let him inside? No, it's his own run. But between that true freshman right guard and true freshman right tackle who played really well against a good top 10 team, there was a breakdown. And they don't have that breakdown. Cash is walking in. So it's another one of those where it's an execution issue. I respect the fact that Coach Smart said, we discussed it. We had a plan. If this, then that on third and fourth down. This is what we're going to go with. I think if you execute on that play and plan, and fans are saying, "Wow, how bold! How
right.
They believed in their team. They knew they could do it. They had a plan. They went and executed." And that was the issue. They didn't execute it, and it opens yourself to scrutiny. And that's what we're experiencing now is going, man, just take the points. And there's certainly a case to be made for that.
All right, so let's play you everything Kirby Smart said about it. He was asked 2 times in the press conference afterwards what he, the reasoning behind it, and also the personnel was the second part of this answer. So let's hear Kirby Smart. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we were 3rd and 4, I think. We had decided previous to that if we gained anything, we were going for it. We were going to probably kick a field goal if we didn't get anything. So there's a thing called sequencing where you sequence plays to try to set up and know that you're going to go for it. So we felt like we're going to go for it if we got anything, and we did. We got it down to 4th and 1, and that play has been really successful for us. I think we hit Tennessee on it 3 times for conversion. We'd run it earlier in the night and run it for conversion, and we missed a block that you got to make, and And they ran through and made a really good play, made a great play to stop it. But I'd do that 10 out of 10 times in terms of going for it. The decision is whether you go for it with tempo or not. And we felt like tempo had been really good for us throughout the year. Well, it was a different play now. We're talking about 3rd and 4. So we're not talking about the other. We're talking about the tempo play is who's in the game. So the decision is, do you stop, slow down, think about it, let them set their cleats in the ground, let them get everything they want, or do you try to hit them quickly? And we have a philosophy we believe in. I mean, we do it every Tuesday and every Wednesday at our practices. We blow a siren. Siren blows. We go as fast as we can, and it's 3rd and 1. And the defense has to do it, which we had a big stop on them, and the offense has to do it. And that's a play that I believe in and believe it should work. It just so happens he was in on the 3rd and 4. So he was in on the 4th down too.
So that explains why Cash Jones was the game. That was another criticism is, hey, why not let's huddle up. Let's send Josh McCray, our battering ram, out there and get it. The whole point of the play was to get them before they could get set. It almost looked like that worked against you a little bit because Overton was kind of still up and moving around, and maybe that was the part of the distraction for Donnie Glover. But yeah, that looked like that might have actually worked against you a little bit, working so fast.
Cody, for that particular play, I'd want Dwight Phillips in the game. I mean, the speed to the edge, just because. But I think the concept in and of itself, that wasn't the issue. So the call, if executed well, is a walk-in touchdown. And if it's Cash Jones, if it's Dwight Phillips, if it's Chauncey, all those guys could take it easily. It's an execution issue. Different than the 4th down. If we're talking about, this is an Alabama show, and we're talking about that 4th down, that was a play call issue. That was never going to be successful against this Georgia defense that, smacks guys in the mouth. If they do anything well, our edge players do a great job of crushing pulling linemen that try to open up space between that outside edge player. We always, and historically, I should say, we do a great job of seeing it, recognizing it, and closing that space. So on 4th down, that was a bad play call. In Georgia's situation, if you are going to go for it, you've called a play that you like, that if executed is going to be there. It caught Alabama's defense in a bad position, something that Alabama's offense did a couple different times against us. And I think that's what's noteworthy to me, Cody, is you look at the game plan that Alabama came into this game with, especially offensively, and they were able to exploit a couple of things that they had seen in film and prepared for Saturday. And hats off to them, because their quarterback, Simpson, did a phenomenal job of processing, working his way through, seeing what the situation was, and executing. For Georgia, on that particular play, on 4th down, if they execute it, then it's there. It's not a play call issue. Different from Alabama's situation on 4th down where you're going, I don't know if this is ever going to work. Even if players are hitting their assignments, that's going to be a tough road to hoe. For Georgia, in that scenario, it's something that they've had success with. That's a check in the box. It's something that they've seen that really caught Alabama off guard. If you execute it, it's there.
It's interesting to me. We hear everybody hop on Kirby Smart after losses. It's happened at Ole Miss last year. It's happened other times. But I feel like it's more than it's ever been. For such a long time, it was in Kirby we trust. You're talking about the 2 national championships. All right, whatever he says, it seems less of that today than it has been in a very long time for the Georgia coach. Part of me, I don't think it's not nearly as extreme as what's happening with Dabo Swinney, right? Where like everybody has turned on Dabo, and it's not what's going on. Brian Kelly, LSU fans,
and justifiably so, right?
I mean, right.
It shouldn't be. Boat.
It shouldn't be, but we're at least on that pathway for the first time in a long time. Has something changed to you, or is it still in Kirby we trust? It's just reacting to that moment.
I think we'll get into this more, Cody, but we carry scars. This isn't a new staff. This isn't a new team. It's not a new opponent for us as fans.
There you go.
We see it as Alabama again, right? It's this weekend. Cody, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure everybody who's messaging right now is going, Alabama, right?
Yeah,
Alabama.
yeah.
It's because we carry scars into this game. And the reason why it falls at the feet of Kirby, it's the head coach or the quarterback. Well, it wasn't the quarterback on Saturday. So who are you going to question? And my feelings are hurt. My feelings are hurt because my Dogs didn't win. And I'm upset about it. So I want to be angry with somebody that could actually influence the game, and it didn't end up the way I want it. So, of course, it falls at the feet of Kirby. And I think fans still trust Kirby. I think fans still believe in this Georgia team, and I'm still glad that I'm wearing red and black today. I certainly would be upset if I had to wear any other colors because they're hideous.
There you go.
But for us, we carry scars into this. And again, we come out of an Alabama game going, we missed it. And so then you get upset, and then you say, well, because I'm upset, who can I blame?
Yeah, we're going to pick at some scar tissue. We do it in just a minute. But before that, let's introduce the show. It is DawgNation Daily, the daily podcast for Georgia Bulldog fans. We appreciate you being with us today. Brandon Adams still dealing with some voice issues, so not a part of the show today. Hopefully get him back real soon on all of that. Appreciate you guys joining. Whether you're on YouTube, we got folks on Facebook watching right now. We'll be on 960 The Ref in Athens later today. If you're listening later to the podcast, appreciate Jon Stinchcomb filling in. We also appreciate Pella Window and Doors of Georgia for being our sponsor, as they always are on a Monday here on DawgNation Daily. Pella Window and Doors of Georgia have been with DawgNation Daily for a long time, and why not? It's a great product. Energy efficient doors and windows can get your house Energy Star approved like those windows are. If you're like me, you live in an old house built in 1940. I got some leaky windows that I'm sure are letting some of that cool air out in the summertime and letting some of that cold air in during the wintertime. It's one of those things you got to get taken care of. We got to take care of it at the Chaffins household as well. It'll help cut utility bills if you get those new windows and doors, improve your comfort inside your house as well. Pella Window and Door of Georgia. You call them, you get a free consultation. They'll come out and say, hey, here's what we're looking at. Here's the products that we have. Here's where we think your house can benefit from something like this. You can also they're also always out at a home show somewhere. They're on location if you want to get there and put your hands on the product, see what they're doing, see all the different models that they have, whether it's blinds built in or you want something that looks like wood, but it actually is a newer product as well. They've got some of that too. So if you get a part of it right now, 0% APR for 72 months if you visit PellaGA.com/DawgNation. That's where we want to get you, PellaGA.com/DawgNation. Get that 0% APR. You pay it off over a little bit of time. You can also give them a call if you want one of those consultations. 678-638-1429. Again, 678-638-1429. It's Pella of Georgia, and we appreciate them being a sponsor on DawgNation Daily. All right, we're going to get ready to go around the doghouse today. Around the Doghouse is poured by our friends at Dr. Pepper, and we talked about the scar tissue. John, it's something that I just wrote down when I was talking about stuff we want to talk about. We just wrote the Alabama thing. Because there is an Alabama thing. For a while, Kirby Smart still has not admitted to an Alabama thing, but it was like, oh, can Kirby beat his old boss, Nick Saban? And he did beat him in the national championship game at the end of 2021 season, but other than that was 1-5 against Nick Saban. Lost last year, but you said, oh, we had to go to Alabama. It felt different. It was a wild atmosphere, and actually came back and could have won that game. But now 0-2 against Kalen DeBoer. And so Georgia 1-10 in their last 11 against Alabama. Kirby Smart, of course, 1-7 now against his old team. The Alabama thing is a thing.
For us, who carries those scars? Who carries those scars, Cody?
I think the fans do.
We do. We
were
right?
there for all of those.
That's
all
exactly
of those
right.
losses.
Yeah.
Every one of them. That's the thing, is every one of them's been tough.
Yes.
It's been like that was just an SEC championship.
And it's different for the players. It's different for this team. This is the first time this team has played Alabama. It's not the first time us as fans have gone into a stadium saying, man, I really want to beat this Alabama team. So when Coach Smart at the end of a game is saying, I don't recognize, I don't know his exact words.
Let's hear it. Let's go
okay,
ahead.
Cody.
Let's hear what
Tee
Kirby Smart said about the Alabama thing.
I mean, what's everybody else's record against them? You got it? I don't either. Like I don't lose sleep over that, because those games have been like championship caliber games, right? And even when we play in the regular season, they've been. I just saw 25 scouts out there. They're all there to watch these teams play. So that's not going to affect me. Like I'm going to be happy and just go lucky if our team comes back and plays well. That's what I worry about. But that It's just we got to get better. And next year, it won't have anything to do with this year. Thank you, guys.
And that's how his mic drop moment a little bit. You buying that it doesn't affect him?
Okay. All right. Let me flip the table on you, Cody. Let's say you're the head coach right now, and you are about to go back into your locker room. What week in the season is this? How many games have you played?
We played 4.
You've only played 4 games. You've got an entire season left. What's your message to your team? Are you going to say, man, we're going to do everything we can to next time we face Alabama, we got to beat them? That's the first message that you want coming from your desk to, I realize that as fans, he's talking to me. As fans, I'm going, Kirby Smart's saying to me, it doesn't matter. Who's he really talking to in that moment? I think he's talking to his team saying, you didn't lose those other games to Alabama. Those were on different teams. As fans, we're going, well, I was here for each one of them. Each one of them stings, and I hate Alabama. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with the fan. I am that fan. I do not want to lose to Alabama again. This team has played them once. And I think that's what his underlying message is, and it's to the guys in his locker room. Sorry, Cody, I teed it up for you, and then I stole the show. But yeah,
you're the person I want to talk to about it, because I think you're a guy who, when you were playing Georgia, it was in the middle of the bad times against Tennessee. It was middle of the bad times against Florida. So as a player, did that sink down to you? When you go you're driving down to Jacksonville, because I know even now I go over that Main Street Bridge in Jacksonville and I'm, right? So how did that feel as a player? Does it weigh on you?
Yeah, you know what? It felt different my senior year than it did my freshman year.
Okay.
And it was in the prime Steve Spurrier era where, Florida had Georgia's number. And I carried it more when it became personal. And I think as fans, we carry it more because it is personal. We've been fans of Georgia longer than these players have been wearing a G on the side of their helmet. So when you look at it, you're going, I feel all of these. I feel each one of the losses to Alabama. It means something to me. For these players, a lot of them, it's their first time playing Alabama. So they don't carry that same scar into this battle of they understand Alabama's been the program that's been the cupbearer for a while. They understand that they're a great competitor. They understand that this means something to the department, to Georgia football. But I think it means it'll mean something different to them next time they play them. I think we saw that every year that Georgia has played Alabama twice in a season. It means a little something different that second time around. And that's the case for all of us. It's human nature. It's the reason why we as fans are going, this is a thing. This does hurt more because it's not the first time. It's not the first time as a fan I've left a game dejected because Georgia fell short against Alabama. It stinks. And for some of these players, this was the first time they felt that.
The other criticism we'll see a lot is Kirby Smart coaches different when it's Alabama. There's something about Kirby, can't get past it. You heard him talk about the 4th down decision. I don't know. To me, if you were that worried about that team and you had such immense respect, because I do sometimes feel like he does have a ton of respect for that program. Why not? He was there for a long time. But you'd almost play more conservatively in that moment because you're so worried. I don't know. Because at the same time, I'm like, you feel like you can only knock him off if you go for it. So maybe that affected. But he seemed like a man with conviction when he was talking about the decision to go for it on 4th down. Like, it didn't even almost occur to him in that room that he was going to kick the field goal. So I'll be interested to hear what he talks about today. But I guess I'm not sure that he coaches differently against Alabama. Do you get that sense?
Cody, what's the saying about if you come for the king?
You bet not miss.
Bet not miss, right? So I think as fans, we're hurt. I'm hurt. So it's on a loss, bad decisions, I'm going to critique them. And he's not above that. I think he is built for it. I think he can take it. I think he can take a little criticism on a 4th down call where we leave points on the board where you think, let's just tie it up. Let's get points. We need points. We're going to lose by 3, which is the beauty of hindsight. We know how this game turns out. with that said, if he plays it conservative, if there's a lot of ifs in that scenario,
Right.
and I think they were coaching the moment, and I think that's what we as fans would really want. But again, it's upsetting because we didn't win, and that's the measuring cup. I don't care how you do it. I don't care that against Tennessee the week before they had to shank a kick to give us a win. I want to win.
Just win, baby.
That's it. Just win. So if it means being aggressive, be aggressive. If it means taking the points when it's right there, and for 3 times in the second half, we're going to get deep into their red zone and come away with nothing, how is that possible? So we got to get the points on the board. We got to – ultimately, it's win. We need to win.
And I think that one of the other things we talked about last week on the show is Kirby Smart is not a finished product as a head coach. He's still learning. I'm sure it'll be a learning moment for him, and maybe he'll approach something differently moving forward. But I do think it's something to think about. It'll be interesting to hear. Kirby Smart will talk today. He's only talking one time a week now to the media, not doing his Tuesday night press conference. So we'll get today's press conference. You'll be able to watch it right here on DawgNation. We'll have it up on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to see that. We'll get reaction to that tomorrow, also tonight on the beat with Kaylee filling in for me with Mike Griffith. They'll be in Athens reacting to what Kirby Smart says about all of that today. Don't think he'll be asked about the record against Alabama today. I think we'll all move on from that unless we see the Tide again. I think a lot of folks want to see Alabama one more time this season. We'll see if it can happen. And the SEC Championship. We'll make that around the doghouse today, poured by Dr. Pepper. Love having Dr. Pepper be a part of the show. They were a part of our DawgNation invasion up in Knoxville, Tennessee a couple weeks ago. How cool was it to be walking around that riverboat, floating up and down the Tennessee River? Everybody's got a Dr. Pepper in their hand, and everybody's got a little something different. Some people want to have the blackberry. Some people want to have the blackberry zero sugar. Some people they swear by the Diet Dr. Pepper. Brandon's a big Diet Dr. Pepper guy. Me, I'm a Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar fan. One thing we know about Dr. Pepper, though, no matter which flavor you prefer, they are the official drink of college football. Got new rivals, new rules this season, but Dr. Pepper stays the same. Brand new season of Fansville going on right now as we are watching those commercials as we sit back on Saturday nights and watch. Are you fan enough to handle all the drama from Fansville? How about the draft slide we got to see this year? Grab an ice cold Dr. Pepper from your local retailer. Buckle up for the season. College football, it's a Pepper thing. So this is the time of the show normally where we'd say, all right, let's bring on Jon Stinchcomb right now, and we'll talk about all the stuff we did. Well, we've got 30 minutes now that we have talked to Jon Stinchcomb. The one thing we have not done is talk about a little bright side. And one thing we talked about off the top, Jon, is, A, you're not losing to Mississippi State, right? Like, this is Alabama that you lost to. So there's a positive there. You're not getting one of these teams jump up and bite you, which we see from other teams. I think Alabama last year, the Vanderbilt loss kind of snuck up on them and bit you, but you're getting beat by a traditional power in Alabama this week. But there were some positive things. The first thing, if we're going to talk positive from this Georgia-Alabama game, Georgia said this offseason, we're going to run the ball. They ran the ball all over Alabama. Chauncey Bowens ended up being the hot hand throughout the day. 12 rushes for 119 yards. Chauncey had a touchdown, 9.9 yards per carry. Had a 43-yard explosive run as well. Chauncey Bowens, I'm not sure if we mentioned his name this summer coming in, talking about who to look for Georgia. How about Chauncey Bowens stepping up? He is the man right now.
Absolutely is. Josh McCray had a little bit of a coming out party in some of those moments, but Chauncey Bowens, boy, the way he runs the football, you have to be excited when he gets the ball in his hands. And similar to the way I think a lot of fans were excited when Dwight Phillips kind of burst on the scene this season. All offseason, I'm guilty of it. I was talking Nate Frazier. Nate Frazier, I want to see more of him. He's the bell cow. It's going to be hard for the rest of these running backs to earn opportunities. Chauncey Bowens has earned these opportunities. I'm excited when he's in the backfield. I look forward to seeing Gunner hand him the ball because, man, is he shifty. He's got great vision. He's not easy to bring down, and that was on full display. What do you average? Almost 10 yards a carry?
9.9.
Yeah, 10 yards a carry for a running back is insanity, especially in an SEC battle.
Right.
We're not sitting here. Alabama this morning, on the flip side, is going, our run game was anemic. You talk about other highlights. Georgia's defensive front with the exception of that 2-minute end of the game when we need the ball back, they were able to shut down and stifle Alabama's run game all game long. So another highlight, areas of improvement. Past couple weeks, we've been talking about Georgia's offensive line, right? Right side.
Right.
Who's it going to be? I think we got some answers. I think Hughley stepped up. You can see what he can do. But I also think Gaston proved that he's not just a guard, that kid is going to be really good for a long time no matter where you put him. And I think the more experience he gets, the better he's going to be. So if it's right tackle, if we feel like Glover is our best option, it's a combo. We want those two guys on the field. Then, man, he showed that he's capable. So there are so many areas for this Georgia team to say, we took a step forward. Even in a loss, we want to take step forwards when we win. There's no moral victories. I don't believe in that. But I do believe what Coach Smart said early on, that we're a good team that needs to get better. I think we're getting better. Stinks that we did it during a loss. And there's certainly areas that got highlighted that we need to take that same mentality, because there are other areas where we do need to get better.
Yeah, we talked about I wonder for a moment, is Kirby Smart sitting there watching? Because you and Brandon had said, we're going to put Gaston and we're going to have Donnie Glover. So we need to credit you guys for putting that out there. But that seemed like it was the answer. And again, if we weren't talking about Chauncey Bowens, maybe we at least mentioned him once. Nobody talked about Donnie Glover was going to come in and be your right guard. It says something about Westlake and Langston Hughes down there in South Fulton, the products they're putting out right now. So, credit to both of those programs. But Donnie Glover, we go back to the fourth down and we'll pick that one apart, right? It's a big moment. You didn't make the play. But I do feel like that open wound that was actively bleeding, it felt like at times in the Tennessee game, has been at least patched up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So it was one where you could not ignore the hole that existed on the right side of this offensive line. It was not just something that we can manage. It was an issue. It was a problem. Georgia is going to face defenses that are going to attack us and exploit a weakness. Usually Georgia doesn't have weaknesses. We're good, and we have areas of exceptionality, if you will. And for the first time across this offensive line, you're going, this is a weakness. This area has to be addressed, or it's going to limit our performance. And I think it's probably not the best of indicators that you have two true freshmen that are having to step into those spaces. I spoke about that a couple weeks ago as well, saying, it's a little bit of an indictment on the development. I think that's part of NIL transfer portal world, where offensive line shouldn't be something that happens day one. It's something that you need to develop and get better at. I think Gaston is an exceptional talent. I think Glover has proven that he's capable and obviously somebody that this staff trusts most at that right guard spot. It comes with a little indictment on some of the older guys.
Right.
Of like,
yeah, you can't ignore that.
You should be here. You should be further along. And that's not a critique of Glover. I think it's a critique of the other guys that they're on salary too now. This is a paid profession. Yeah. So the fact that you're collecting a paycheck and you can't contribute, that's on you now. So, hats off to Glover. Hats off to Gaston for being ready to step in. Probably shouldn't have to do that on the forefront, but let's flip the coin on this and say that's an area that Georgia has gotten better. It is something that you can actually take a somewhat sigh of relief in saying this isn't an open wound that is going to cost us. In big ways that we have to hide. And, talk about other areas that stood out to me. I know much is made, Cody, of our tight ends not being a part of the pass game. Watch the game again. Watch those guys block. Man, Lawson Lucky, Oscar Delp, hats off to you, brother. I mean, they are.
What does that take to knowing you may not get your shine, right? Like you're not going to get that moment in the end zone where the fireworks are going off and you just caught a touchdown. You just got to go to work. That's to do that down in and down out. That takes something special.
Well, the tight end position's a hybrid of doing the dirty work of an offensive lineman that most folks hope you never know their name because that means they're doing their job. We want to talk about the Chauncey Bowenses. Well, the reason why Chauncey Bowens had 10 yards of carry is, one, because of that offensive line moving folks, and two, our perimeter guys and edge players. Lawson Lucky, Oscar Delp, they weren't alone. You look at some of the blocks that happened on the perimeter. I think there's a reason why we see certain wide receivers get more playing time than others. Why is Humphreys on the field more? Why is Young on the field more? Why is Dylan Bell and, as a rotation of 4 or 5 guys that you see primarily? One, can they make plays in the air? Yes. But I guarantee one of the factors as to how you get on the field and stay and earn those opportunities is the way you block. And so Lawson Lucky, Oscar Delp, they didn't get their time to shine in the pass game. They certainly are shining in the run game. Chauncey Bowens is thanking those tight ends for the holes that they opened up and contributed. So team effort, anytime you get the running performance that Georgia had, I think that was a highlight. The issue is, Cody, correct me if I'm wrong here, but Alabama had almost 50 plays in the half, and Georgia's offense had 55 total for the game. Yeah. So the opportunities just didn't exist. If anything, it's trying to find ways to get off the field. The major takeaway from that game is you got to win on third down, and especially on that defensive side of the ball. At one point, Alabama was 8 for 8 on third down. So, again, highlight offensively, you saw a run game that looked explosive at times, and the Dylan Bell run, Chauncey Bowens kind of taking the reins. There was points of excitement for me.
All right, one other point of pride that I think was definitely really impressive on Saturday night was the crowd. That was something that Brandon challenged everybody. Hey, what can we do? How can you affect this game? When I see Ty Simpson taking 3 timeouts in the first quarter, right? We did get one false start. It was an uncharacteristically disciplined Alabama team, which we haven't seen a lot on the road. So credit to them for that. But I think the bringing in of the wristbands was awesome. I think just the way the crowd noise, even throughout the game, things did not go your way. You're still getting loud there in the third quarter and fourth quarter when they needed them back again. So credit to the crowd. I thought it was an impressive atmosphere on Saturday night.
I was there. I thought it was electric the entire time. I loved the wristbands. I thought that was a great value add, not only for the fan experience, but just for the overall environment that was created. I thought Alabama, with the exception of the timeouts early in that first quarter, I thought they did an exceptional job in what otherwise would have been a really hard place to play. So hats off to all the fans. We've spoken on this show about it as well. Like early on when we were playing Austin Peay or was it Marshall week 1, I mean, we're worried about how are the fans and the environment. Well, I think they responded pretty well in this game in being loud, being vocal, the light display, staying engaged, even when it wasn't looking pretty at sometimes, Cody. You're down by 10 and you're going, in home against Alabama. And I think Georgia fans responded the entire time.
Yeah, star-studded on the sideline as we're seeing James Franco, Quavo, Trey Young all down there for that big game. I do need to ask you a very serious question. And I think it's probably done and we don't have it again. Thoughts on the I think it's ruined at this point. I don't know if you can do it, but just initial thoughts.
A little bit overplayed would be my initial thought. I thought it brought something early on, got engagement, and then after about, number 84 of hearing that noise,
especially when
I'd heard enough.
When they convert all of the third downs, right? And then because they played it on second down every time. It almost was a reminder that, this drive's still going.
It's still going.
And so the sound, I don't know if people know this, and it took me, I recognized I could not figure out where I knew it from. It is from the war movie 1917, which came out a few years ago. If you did not see it, it's about World War I. It's about trench warfare, which actually maybe works a little bit. It's kind of a dark movie. It was nominated for Best Picture a few years ago, and a guy's like running around in the mud, it feels like, the whole time. I can tell you my wife was not a fan. I think a lot of folks, I was even just scrolling TikTok yesterday, people were like, I don't want to hear this sound ever again. So do you feel like it can ever come back, or is it done?
I think it can come back. I think that we have to be a little more judicious in how we use it because it seemed like I heard it way too much. With that said, now that you bring that back, I haven't seen that movie.
Yeah,
and,
there you go.
it was pretty good. Obviously not super memorable because it didn't stick with me.
I think the soundtrack and the sound editing, all those war movies always win Oscars for that. I think it did win an Oscar for one of those things. So there we go.
But good
something
environment,
fun
Cody.
to talk about a little bit. The other part, and we kind of mentioned it based on that, is Ty Simpson, I didn't know what to expect. I think Brandon this summer thought maybe Ty Simpson was not going to end up being the guy for Alabama. The way he directed, and Georgia mixed it up trying to get pressure. They were bringing it for whether it was a corner coming or we're going to, twist the linebackers and they're going to hit different gaps. Georgia did things to try and to get to the quarterback. He, to his credit, would walk up and he's pointing out, different things. He's shouting to get it done. But then the offensive line also picked it all. There weren't many free runners. The free runners you did have, I think that's maybe the third down he took off on for a first down. But I was actually kind of impressed with the way Alabama handled all of that. Their offensive line, it was impressive.
We did have free runners, and he was able to get the ball out before they got home.
Yeah.
And worked himself into the pocket, well identified. Again, I go back and I watch the film, and you go, this is an impressive performance by the coaching staff. I think Coach Grubb, the offensive coordinator for Alabama, came in with an exceptional plan. I think they were able to shift and motion in ways that set themselves up for success, and you have to have players that can execute. I think we would be pretty upset if we're sitting here looking at that second play offensively and they dialed it up and they had their drop that was easily going to be a touchdown, but to split the safeties. And you look at those opportunities, and Alabama brought their A game, and Simpson's execution of that is how they were able to, stay on the field. All those third down conversions, you go back and you're saying, what was Georgia doing? I saw a variety of things. We brought different pressures.
It wasn't vanilla by any means.
A lot of zone, but there's man pressure. We played some man. We brought a lot of pressure. And they were able to respond. So I think there's times where you need to recognize that this opponent played really well. Georgia put them in a position that demanded their best, and they responded. And that's not an excuse. It means you still have to go out there and play better, and you have to figure it out because you have to pressure the quarterback, and you can't let him sit back there. But I don't think that's what happened. I think he made good decisions quickly. In times where he was able to extend the play and he did have a pocket, he recognized that, was able to sit there and let some of those deeper routes materialize. But when that wasn't there, he found that receiver quickly. And that's hats off to Simpson. Had a great game. Hats off to Alabama's staff. I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. Don't tell me about the labor. Show me the baby. We want to win the game. We want to get off the field on third down, whatever it takes. And I think there was times where Alabama had dialed up great plays, and we need to have answers for it. And that's the challenge. I know Coach Schumann and Coach Smart are sitting there going, how do we make sure we have the answers for some of these things? Cody, did you see how many different ways they deployed Caden Proctor, their left tackle?
Yeah, he's catching balls. He was out there. Yeah, he was impressed.
Yeah.
Could you have done some of that?
Absolutely. Sitting behind this desk, I'll tell you how great I was. But I'm thinking about
just creative.
Yes, just creative stuff. Obviously, the catch that he made, tackle over situations. You go back, he's playing right tight end at some. There was one play early in the game where he's coming as a slot receiver in motion. I guarantee he was going to try to destroy whatever edge player, where they have like the Trent Williams film where he's just running full speed and just trucks the defense. That's what they're shooting for. But it shows the level of creativity that I think Georgia demands. And that's what we have come to expect, is you expect your opponent to throw their best punches. And Alabama threw a lot of haymakers. And I think it was going to be a double running back pass.
Right.
They ran the play that was the Lions used, just a different variation where running back throws to the tight end in the flats for a first down. They went deep in their bag of tricks, effectively at sometimes, and Georgia was able to answer. We just have to know, and I think we do, that every opponent we face is going to go deep in their bag. And we have all the exceptions to the rule. That's what you're going to see. And Georgia has to have an answer for those.
Were you more, so I think about the 15 scripted plays that everybody, Alabama ran 14 on the first drive, right? So they maybe got through their whole script at that point. Georgia, it took them probably 3 or 4 drives to get through their 15 scripted plays. Does it concern, I mean, to me, you've been punched in the face 2 weeks in a row. And granted, you're not always going to be able to, these unscouted looks that you're going to see sometimes are going to happen, right? Like, you got to be able to adjust, and Georgia did adjust in the second quarter of both games. But it's one of those things that, how do you get, and maybe it's just because I don't know, but like, you got to get better at adjusting maybe in the middle of that first drive, figuring out a way to like calm this down a little bit. Needless to say, the offense can't go 3 and out, but you got to figure out a way to not get punched in the mouth again by the other team's scripted plays.
Totally agree with that. And, I think much is kind of overblown about the adjustments that are made in halftime. You're like, oh, we came out with new. I don't think that's always the case.
Okay. Is it a player being ready kind of thing?
I don't know, because I mean, I've been in those situations and it's not it just wasn't executed as well. And I think you look at Georgia's first series, and there was that one sideline route where Gunner wasn't able to connect with Colby, right. And maybe you make more of that, and maybe that becomes more of a drive. But we have to come out of the locker room smoking. And past couple of weeks, we took it on the chin against Tennessee, where it's like, holy cow, we're going to be able to slow these guys down.
But at least on your first drive, that one, you came down and scored a touchdown.
Yes, and same thing, similar situation for Alabama, where it's like, we've got to get off this field. And I think more of that rests with the opponent's offense rather than our offense. And you look at, can we slow these guys down early, so that we're not getting boat raced or feel that pressure offensively that we're going to have to score 50. And, again, you settle down, you realize they're not going to score every series, and they didn't. And you realize offensively you're not going to score every series, and you can stay in your offense. But you have to be able to start faster. I don't have an easy answer for you on that one.
All right, something we'll have to think about throughout the next week. All right, now let's do a little cruising around the SEC.
Let's take a look around the rest of the league. This is SEC Through.
All right, so again, Brandon Adams had me pitch in a little bit today and fill in as he gets his voice all figured out. Happy to do it. One of the things that is most important to Brandon Adams, this is Royal Caribbean Cruises. He is not on another cruise right now, although I think he wishes he could be as he's dealing with some of those voice issues. But Royal Caribbean and the DawgNation Cruise got my first chance to do that last April. Get on there with all of those dog fans, and the really impressive part was just being on Utopia of the Seas. At the time was the largest ship going out of Port Canaveral, and you see it parked up to other cruise ships from other cruise lines, and they know that Utopia of the Seas has showed up. What great things we had to do all over, whether it was going to a show in the evening, whether it was the high dive show that we saw on the back of the ship there on Utopia of the Seas. They've got the ice skating show. They got the big stage shows. They got game shows going on. There was plenty of entertainment to be found on Utopia of the Seas. And if you didn't like any of that, you just go sit in the country music bar, the Mason Jar on the top deck, and listen to country music. There wasn't nothing wrong with that either. A lot of dog fans are in those rocking chairs inside the Mason Jar every night. So we appreciate Royal Caribbean being a part and a partner with DawgNation Daily so much. So if you want to book your own DawgNation cruise, you want to get with us this year in April. The dates are a little bit, they're already out. A little bit easier, not around Easter this year, so I know a lot of folks are jumping back on board who maybe couldn't go last year. You want to call Jessica Slater. She is our travel agent that helps us out. She has a great relationship with Royal Caribbean. When you go through the travel agent, it doesn't cost you any more to go through Jessica, but she knows all the ins and outs. She's going to get you into that show you want to see. She's going to make you an itinerary. Here's what I would do if I were you. Here's the places to eat. Here's where to get that reservation if you want to eat one of those specialty restaurants as well. So she's got all of that info. That's why you go through Jessica. And even you could book it yourself. Yeah, you could, but you want to go through somebody who's an expert on it. That's the one thing I found out getting on that ship. You want an expert. So call Jessica, 770-718-9147, or you can email her, jslater@dreamvacations.com. Get on the DawgNation cruise coming up in April. Just get on your own cruise and find one of those other great ships if you want to try out one of those Icon at Sea, Star of the Seas that are out there, the other even bigger ships that are cruising around right now. All right, so let's do some cruising around the SEC. Week 5 of the SEC schedule, the one we had all talked about last week, whether it was boyfriend-girlfriend drama that brought us to Ole Miss LSU with the head coach, his daughter. Whatever it was, at the end of the day, Ole Miss comes out, knocks off LSU. It seemed like it was a quarterback thing. You look at Garrett Nussmeier's number 21 of 34, 197 yards, a touchdown, and interception. He just hasn't been impressive. He was one of those guys at SEC Media Days, everybody's putting at the top of their list. All right, he's coming back. He was good he played against Georgia in that SEC championship all those years ago. Oh, he's coming back. He's going to be great. He was not impressive. The guy that was impressive is like the backup for Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss, 314 yards passing. He also ran for 71. He was impressive. It just goes to tell you, don't trust the experts, huh?
Don't trust preseason rankings, if nothing else. You look at Nussmeier, he's not alone.
Klubnik.
Yeah, Klubnik's another one.
Everybody assumes, everybody coming back is going to be way, way better. It's not always the case.
No.
Even Carson Beck last year.
Carson's the tale of two players, though, right?
Right.
I mean, he was last season. They were expecting him to be number one pick in the draft, kind of like Arch Manning, another quarterback in the SEC. That the expectations have not been met in that space. But Carson's having a great year down in Miami for fans that are keeping track. But you look at it across the SEC, they're not alone. There's a number of guys that the expectations were almost fairy tale like before the season, and you watch their performance, and it hasn't come close. Nussmeier certainly falls into that category.
All right, and next thing, so for the first time in over a year, it was the end of last year, we said, is the SEC getting soft? They're not firing any coaches, but we knew the seat was pretty hot for some of them. One of them is our old friend Sam Pittman, who has been let go at Arkansas, 32-34 after 6 seasons. Got blown out by Notre Dame at home. You had the meltdown against Memphis. We kind of saw this one coming for a little while.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough place for any coach. No one's more passionate about Arkansas than Coach Pittman. That was his dream job, and we're familiar with him. You understand what he brings to the table. One of the best offensive line coaches out there, and I think there is a number of jobs where it's going to be really hard to win, especially with NIL and the amount of backing that it requires. That's going to be a tough position to fill. You're certainly not going to get the passion that Coach Pittman had for Arkansas from the next coach.
The coach who is there now, what a strange world we live in. Bobby Petrino is now the interim head coach at Arkansas once again. You couldn't go anywhere on the internet without seeing the picture of the neck brace and the beat-up face, but how crazy a world do we live in?
Yeah, how does he get another shot? I mean, it's just amazing to me that some coaches continue to circle themselves back around to a head coach position despite their baggage that they bring.
All right, Auburn, Texas A&M. Auburn loses again. This one, Texas A&M, we saw the big number they put up on Notre Dame. It wasn't that kind of game, 16-10, but held Auburn 176 yards, 0 of 12. We talked about third down stats. How about 0 of 12 on third down for Auburn in this game? Texas A&M now 4-0. 5 sacks, just 5. So they cut the number in half if you're Auburn. From 10 against Oklahoma, just sacked 5 times. That game, it's never easy going Jordan-Hare. It almost looks like it could be a get-right game for Georgia.
Yeah, and I hope it is, because I've got no love for Auburn. So anytime you can make them look like bottom dwellers, I'm all for it. But again, crazy world of SEC football. You look at it, and I think on paper you're expecting more from Auburn, that they were on an arrow up. I don't know. I mean, when you're as bad as they have been, as a basketball school, kind of taking shots now because
well, we're a basketball school, and they lost their head coach.
Yeah.
Bruce Pearl not there. It'll be we'll
Kept
see
it
if
in the
Suns
family,
got it.
though.
Yeah. Well, funny how that happened. The other one, Vanderbilt takes care of business against Utah State. Vanderbilt and Bama is now a game everybody's talking about, which who would have thought that was going to be the case? But that's going to be fun to watch next week. It's one of those things, and you talk about Auburn, I will say this about that, because we all saw how Texas started the season. We saw how Alabama started the season. And it was one of those things where you almost like, okay, well, Georgia's schedule is a little bit easier. I think the Alabama game reminds us that you're going to get everybody's best shot. No matter what Auburn has done, no matter what their record is, you're still going to have to go to a Saturday at Jordan-Hare, and it's going to be nuts, and those people are still going to be passionate, and you're still going to have to earn a win because everybody, when you're Georgia, you're not one of those teams people just feel like we could take a week off. Everybody has been, you talk about getting deep in your bag if you're Alabama, everybody is going to the back of the playbook, finding everything they can to throw at Georgia every week.
Yeah, without question.
Because now if you're Auburn, that saves your season, right? At least you beat Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're the standard now. And that's how other teams are going to measure themselves of even if we lost to those guys, at least we know we can play with the best. Well, that's Georgia. Georgia has been that standard. They've earned the right to be that standard. And it reminds me of Coach Smart a couple years ago saying, no, we're not going to be the hunted. We're going to continue to be the hunters. Great mentality, great approach, but you have to know each Saturday, whatever team is coming to face you, they're going to try to bring their best. And this year is going to be no exception. It has been, with the changing landscape for teams like Vandy and Georgia Tech that very easily could have been left behind.
Yeah, we thought,
that the separation
more.
Yes, that they have been able to create their programs in a way that they're playing really good football and competitive football. There is no great team this year to me. You look at it and nobody is head and shoulders above the rest, but some teams I think are creating synergy that the whole is better than the parts. And Vandy and Georgia Tech certainly come to mind as teams that are playing better than they certainly would be if you're basing it just on paper. And there's other teams that have underperformed based on the payrolls that they've created with the rosters on paper that should be much better than they are. LSU should be really, really good, and they're not. They're just not really good right now, and it's more offensive issues than anything, which is kind of a surprise coming out of LSU. But again, I don't know how I'm wandered around the SEC, but
we cruised. That's
I
what we
cruising.
do every week.
Yeah.
We are cruising around the SEC. Brought to you by Royal Caribbean. Appreciate that. All right, so it's one of those things. Jon Stinchcomb filling in, and Cody Chaffins filling in for Brandon Adams today. But it's one of those things we cannot have DawgNation Daily without hearing at least from Brandon. Let's see. We got a little Brandon on tape.
Nice.
It's a commercial, but we'll use it. Let's hear from Brandon.
Hey, DawgNation, it's Brandon Adams, the host of DawgNation Daily here at Cercheros. And when I'm ready to eat, I want to eat something that I feel like was made fresh for me. And that's what the friendly folks at Cercheros do each and every day. In fact, let me give you a little bit of a taste of what that looks like right now. So I'll do a flour tortilla with Southwest rice, black beans. May I have steak, please? Cheese, and some pico, and some corn. I would love that grilled, absolutely. Can't beat the taste of those fresh grilled toppings added on. Jalapenos, some guac. The guac is free add-on here at Cercheros. And then I'll do some Cercheros sauce too, please. Looks great. And this football season, I want you to think of Cercheros for your tailgate watching and game day party need. In fact, this year, DawgNation with Cercheros is going to give away the ultimate game day party. You go to the website, DawgNation.com/tailgate. You can register for your chance to win the ultimate game day party, courtesy of Cercheros.
So there we go. At least a little bit of Brandon Adams on DawgNation Daily. And Brandon certainly in everybody's thoughts as we go to our golden shoe for today. And the golden shoe, it's just so many folks reaching out and want to make sure that Brandon feels some love. So Jeff Sintel posting on X on Friday a little bit, thoughts with Brandon about as he kind of goes through some of these voice struggles that he has had. Great to hear from so many of you. Trisha Ann says hugs and prayers. B.A. L.A. McConnell chiming in, praying for my old friend. Says Silos, get well soon. Can't wait to hear you again soon. Go Dogs. Prayers up for B.A. So appreciate everybody reaching out. You don't know, he says that all the time about how much it means to him. Being around him now, I understand that. This show means so much to Brandon. It is his show by far. We are just trying to keep the train on the tracks this week, or at least today. I'm not sure how the next few days are going to play out, but just trying to keep it on the tracks for him because it is his baby. One of the other things we got to do every day is we got to check on the Gator Hater Updater. Add one more day, 1,787 days. We beat 1,785. We weren't on for 1,785, but that's another. We had 1,776, a special day. 1,785 for dog fans, always a special day as well.
Love it.
So 1,787 days since Florida has beaten Georgia. Dogs in Jacksonville in not too long, getting ready for that. All right, that's going to do it for today's edition of DawgNation Daily, presented by Pella Window and Door of Georgia. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. And on video time for the R.S. Andrews Cool Down. R.S. Andrews, the one you turn to for your heating, plumbing, and electrical. You call, they come. It's fixed, guaranteed. R.S. Andrews, the R.S. stands for Rapid Service. They are always there to help you with hot water heater issues. You turn on that heat for the first time in a couple of weeks. You're going to get that weird smell. You want to feel better about it. Call R.S. Andrews. Make sure they've got it all checked out for you. We'll do a few more comments here. Everybody's busy in the comments today. John, I appreciate you sitting in. Does the show feel longer when you have to sit here for the whole time?
It does. Yeah, well, 20 minutes versus an hour and a half. I think there's a little bit of a difference there.
We got you out of your home office.
That's exactly right.
We're used to seeing that. Is that, do you do other calls there, or is that just your DawgNation Daily setup?
That's my DawgNation Daily setup.
Okay.
I'm going to give you credit, but I do use for Zoom,
And you got to have a little flex behind you, right? Like somebody's getting on a Zoom call for anything else with Jon Stinchcomb. They want to see Georgia stuff back there, right?
I try to proudly display what I can. It's good experience. Glad to be a part of the DawgNation.
All right. Looking at some of the comments here, still very negative for a lot of folks. And you got to get it out, right? I guess that's one of those things.
First home loss
Yeah.
in forever. So, yeah, it's going to be negative. I get it.
And that's why we're all here. We're all here to commiserate and talk about it. Petrino's a clown, says Hoghead.
Petrino is a clown.
There you go.
I mean, I don't understand. How does he get another head coaching job?
The thing I'll never forget, so I was in Toccoa, Georgia, my first TV job. And all of a sudden, I had to drive down to Flowery Branch and go in that locker room the day after he just left everybody a note. He's like, we played Monday Night Football. It was like Tuesday morning. He's like, see y'all. And that was the note left in the locker. Joey Harrington in that locker room, Joe Horn in that locker room. They were not pleased. That's not how a man acts, I believe, was kind of the overall sentiment. And then he shows up calling the pigs at strange times. Did we really shut down Bama in the second half, or was the play calling dialed in to hold the ball? I think Georgia always wanted to hold the ball and control the ball, but did you feel like it was play calling different for the defense, or just they were going to come back to earth at some point?
I thought play calling was different from Alabama's offense more than different from defense. And situationally, I mean, there was times where because we didn't come away with points, Alabama starting inside their 10, that's your play sheet looks a little bit different than, when you're in the middle of a drive and you're sustaining things. So I think it's a combination, but the game certainly slowed down, and you look at the number of plays that Alabama had the first half versus second half, and I think the storyline is just their early execution, third down, getting off the field, and then being able to maintain and sustain the drive when they're in that 4-minute offense to end the game. That was another brutal stretch of plays where you're going, golly, we just got to get the ball back.
Right. And because that was the other thing is you had to punt. You were 4th and 13 and the drive before that, because you had a bad third down play before that. I think a lot of folks, that's the one thing. There are a lot of folks still coming after Mike Bobo. That it just seems to be the old narrative. But like, I thought the double move to Colby Young, you ran for 277 yards. Like you got to keep. Right, there's certain things you would do differently, but there's also you got to give credit. Talon Taylor was wide open.
Wide open, he dropped it. Next play was a tunnel screen to Zachariah Branch. That maybe the ball came in hot. That's going to be a first down. So there's a number of plays. I mean, I'm going to come across as a Bobo defender in this scenario. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with it because the plays were there. That wasn't the issue. The play that was called, even on that 4th down play, if executed. So if there's a critique, Maybe you just got to know that this isn't a play that my players can execute, despite the fact that we've done it 3 times and we felt good about it against Tennessee, and we feel good about it in this situation, and it's perfectly matched against what Alabama is going to do in this scenario. And if our players and we can score touchdowns, all that gets looked past when fans are going, yeah, but we didn't win. And I get that, I understand it, but there's plenty of areas that I would circle that are much bigger issues than Mike Bobo's called offense on that loss against Alabama.
1787 year of the Constitution, so we do appreciate it. It's another important year. UGA Marine says, do you like Hughley Gaston, Glover Gaston? What's your if you had to put a starting lineup out there for Kentucky?
I would probably, this is me, I would probably go Glover Gaston.
Okay.
I think Gaston's got to be on the field.
Yeah,
I think love the way he's playing right now. I think Hughley is a good player. I think more than anything, there's mental errors and assignment errors than for him more than just execution. I think when he's on the right guy, he's talented and blocks well. I think it's more of he's got so many assignment issues is his biggest concern. And I think you look long-term upside. They obviously like Glover at guard, and Gaston's, that is a big human. So get that length out at tackle, develop them. That's probably the direction I would go.
Somebody says my blood still bleeds red and black. That's a good thing to see right about now. SEM Dog says, tell us about the Auburn halftime speech 2002.
That's an old story there. Hopefully we don't need many of those, but that was a great game. That was for sending Georgia to the SEC championship for the first time in 20 years since the Herschel Walker era. Great team win. And Cody, I don't know if you know this or not, but I ended up scoring a touchdown that game.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I always think, Michael Johnson, right?
That was it. So he steals the show just because that was the winning touchdown. But
what was the one before it? Was there a Munson call for yours?
Probably. Left tackle blocks no one, ends up jumping on the ball that was laying in the end zone. It's probably how he covered it.
That's how I scored my only touchdown in high school. At block punt, I jumped on the ball in the end zone. I didn't have to take it anywhere. Savannah Bryan corrected me. It was not from 1917. It's from All's Quiet on the Western Front, which was
I hadn't seen
the year afterwards. Both very muddy war movies. The dude laid in the mud in All's Quiet in the Western Front. Again, also nominated. It did win for best score in 2023. So those war movies, I try to watch the best picture nominees every year. It's one of those things that I just do. So it makes me watch some of these movies I would never watch. So sorry, I got him all confused there.
So speaking
Savannah Bryan, keep me straight.
Aren't you glad, times that they can chime in for
Yes, it's good.
Talk about games ruining songs or moments for you. So, again, I went 0 for 4 against Florida while I was playing, and we felt pretty good our senior year. And leading into the game on repeat was In the Air Tonight. I can feel it.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we listened to it for an hour and a half straight. And then we go lose.
Like in the locker room?
In the locker room, on repeat.
Whose idea was that?
Coach Richt, I'm sure, said, this is our game. Bill Goldberg came, gave us a little pregame speech, right? Like, we're going to win this thing. We should win this thing. And then you lose, and now every time you hear that song, still a great song, but, man, it's got that sting to it that it's a little bit tainted. And similar to on repeat 75,000 times at the game, which still good. I think, we just had to create some different memories associated with it.
Yeah. Because it was cool at times, but even I got home, my wife's like, they played that song.
It's just too much.
Way too much.
Just too much. But it's good.
And it came across on the TV because I didn't know if she had even heard it, because when you get in the stadium sometimes, depending on the mix they've got going, it was funny. Like, I was in the stadium, I couldn't hear the Alabama at all. I went back and watched a TV copy, and it's like you hear the Bama band the whole time. I'm like, no, they were like a tiny little section over there. Like, that should not have been able to be
Move the microphone.
Be heard. They got mic's right in front of them. My granddaughter made the TV shots from the student section. Beautiful as ever, Senior Dog 54. That's cool. It's always fun to check on them, right? Like, you see somebody and everything's going okay. Hopefully it wasn't one of these moments, right? Like you don't want to get that. You don't want to be that guy.
The Tennessee fan from the game. They kept showing his face, and he was
right.
stoic.
The one guy, and they got in trouble. It's one of those things. When you go to a game, are you conscious of that now? Like, do I react because I don't want to?
I'm not conscious.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
What's the likelihood?
You don't
of
want it
them
to
finding.
Yeah, but
I won't tell you where I sit.
Maybe if you're in the front row of somewhere, it could be something.
That, or you're at a Coldplay concert and you have to be
with somebody you shouldn't be with. Oh, so funny. All right, third down was a killer, Jeremy Harvin. Yeah, I think everybody admits that. And you just got to figure out ways to do it. Kirby always changes it up against Alabama. So Mike Bobo thinks that Kirby did coach differently in that. It's on coaching and the personnel we have on the field. Well, what else? I mean,
I agree with
right?
that.
Is that everything?
Nailed it.
Yeah.
It wasn't on the fans.
Yeah,
fans were great, but
fans their credit.
Coaches and players.
Now some folks are saying maybe talent goes away from the number 11 jersey. It's the 11 jersey.
That's a curse.
It's the 11 jersey cursed. Yeah, it's a lot of hands.
Hey, Talon's going to have a great career. He's gonna make Georgia proud. There's going to be a number of plays that he makes for us, and that's going to be the story that's written that he writes during his time in Athens. That's how I truly feel about it. I think he's going to be awesome. It's unfortunate. It's one of those that, it's going to stick with him, but he's going to be a great player.
Yeah, and for all the talk about Gunner throwing that ball, he put it right there, right? He's had a couple of great throws, and just got to make it happen on that. Never used to worry about our defense when we got teams to 3rd and 5 or 6. Now I worry. A lot of the Todd Grantham talk going on in the chat today. And you just got to keep mixing it up and some people got to win one-on-one. Like somebody's got to just beat a guy, whether it's a move or a speed or whatever it is. I thought Quintavious Johnson played better than I had seen him play. Made a few plays, especially the 3rd and 4th down stop when they had stopped Alabama when they went for it. But yeah, at some point, somebody's got to get in there and do something.
You got to win some one-on-ones. And I think what has defined really the last couple of years under Schumann has been, we manufacture pressure. It's not a conventional rush. So, I hear Davin Bellamy talk about it. I saw his tweet in social media on X saying, we've got to win more one-on-ones. David Pollock said it last week. Who can win the one-on-ones? That's not how Georgia has done it these past couple of years. When we pressure a quarterback, it's with a lot of motion, movement across the defensive line, bringing linebackers. Cole, in my opinion, is our most effective pass rusher right now in just one-on-one situations. But we don't create a lot of those. In most of the 3rd and 5+ situations, we're trying to bring pressure, and I think Coach Smart talked about this a little bit after the game, of we've got every pressure under the sun. We've got a wide variety of ways to pressure a quarterback. And I believe that. I think you watch the way Georgia plays, and that's been the approach. It has not been an expectation, first off, and two, maybe it's the player performance as to why you don't create scenarios where it's like, all right, we want Jalen Walker against Caden Proctor or a Kelvin Banks when he was playing for Texas. Like we created that situation. Kelvin Banks is a great player, but Jalen Walker coming off the edge, we wanted those scenarios and came home. What I've seen more than anything, especially against Alabama, it's case in point, is in those moments we do a lot of mixing. So tackle end, linebackers come in here trying to create and crease, rather than saying, I want David Pollock against this tackle and he's going to win and we're going to get home. We don't put them in situations very often that are like that in those key moments.
Okay. Avian Curry from Toccoa says Kentrell's brother, Kentrell Curry from
Hey.
Stevens County. Shout out to him.
Kentrell was another baller. You talk about a guy during that era of Thomas Davis, Greg Blue, Kentrell Curry, in that era Who would want to come across the middle?
So Greg Blue and Thomas Davis got introduced on the field afterwards, and then Davis went over there and tackled. I said, those are two dudes I do not want to meet. Greg Blue, when he was at Banneker, the Banneker played our team, our poor little team. Our running back came off the field and said, I don't want to go back out there.
I believe
that was
it.
in high school.
Yeah.
They beat us. So it was one of those running clock situations where I think I may have got on the field at the end of the game. That's how bad it was. Do we think, Jonathan Aaron asks, do you think you can lure Sam Pittman back home? Well, home really for him is Arkansas now. He's 64, just got a buyout, so he's not in any rush. I don't know. I think Brandon always seemed to think he was done coaching if that was the case, and I don't know if he had talked to Sam or who he had talked to, but that seemed to be kind of the sentiment is this is going to be it. I'm going to live on the lake and hang out.
Ask Rusty. He seems to have a personal relationship with Sam. I know there's plenty of
Kaylee
dog
could call him.
fans.
Kaylee, we were at SEC Media Days, and Sam sees Kaylee. It's a video we have somewhere. He comes and gives her a hug.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we'll get Kaylee. Kaylee will be doing On the Beat tonight in my place. Usually I have to go to Athens, and I'm with Mike Griffith to do On the Beat. So they'll do On the Beat tonight, 7 o'clock. We'll have the press conference coming up here in a matter of moments, so we're going to get out of the way for that in a second. Just do a few more. Pray for BA. Thanks to the Field Mob. Yeah, I expect. So DeMello Jones, another thing we talked about. We didn't see Daniel Harris play at cornerback.
How is that not more of a storyline, Cody? Starter opposite of Dalen Everett is Daniel Harris to start this season, and he did
not play.
Not one
And we
snap.
saw that. I mean, we saw that last year. I think Julian Humphrey may have had a game or two where all of a sudden he wasn't playing. So I don't know if it's. And Kirby just said he's got a little bit of a groin, and we put the best players out there. So I don't know if it's something else internal or he just was not going to give you a chance to win. But it was definitely a difference. And then you see Ellis Robinson's had his struggles this year, but DeMello Jones seemed like he made some plays out there on Saturday. I was impressed with DeMello in his second year as well.
Yeah, I think he stepped in, but in an area where if there was an area of concern coming out of Alabama position group, it's the secondary. And to not see the guy who started, who at the end of training camp, at the end of all offseason, Daniel Harris is our guy, that we're going to start him opposite of Dalen Everett, in front of Ellis Robinson, in front of DeMello. And he doesn't get a single snap. I think there's more there. So
yeah,
it's that whole position group, similar to that conversation we had about the right side of the offensive line. It needs to play better. There were opportunities that were missed, and tackles in the open field, one-on-one coverage, zone coverage. It was kind of ran the gamut, where it just needs to be better, and we have to get more from our secondary. Again, with the way Simpson was getting the ball out of his hands on Saturday, you can look at the stat sheet and say we only had one sack. He was so proficient in the way he was managing the pocket.
He stepped up, yeah.
Yep, stepped up. First third down conversion was he ran it. But more than anything, I think it was his progression and reads and finding the open wide receiver, and there were plenty of them. Even on that first touchdown, Cody. So the first touchdown is a little skinny post in front of Ellis Robinson. The running back flared out. He's wide open. I think it's Raylan Wilson in the middle of the field, has him in man. He's out to lunch, man. He lost. So a couple situations where, a tight end who's number one for Alabama has another deep route where, it's kind of a rollout for Simpson, and he has another deep shot that he could take there. So there's opportunities. Here's my thing, Cody. As much talk has been made about Gunner, especially after the Austin Peay game, where golly, there's these opportunities and he's doing the check downs that were ending up in first downs,
right?
Might I add. But you look at the opportunities that Alabama had against Georgia's defense with receivers open in pockets, or receivers open on the second play of the game down the seam, or there's opportunities there. So that's an area that Georgia's really going to have to clean up, and we're going to need to expect more from this secondary moving forward.
Is it one of those things, because like Tennessee, I think back to you were at least in the right spot, just not winning the one-on-one when the ball's in the air. Alabama, they seem to be more open. But I'm like, what can happen mid-season? And I guess we've asked Kirby Smart, and it's like, can you simplify stuff for guys? Is it so they're not thinking as much and they're playing? Because Ellis Robbins is a 5-star guy. Like, he's got ability. Like, he is athletic. How do we get him to make the play?
Yeah.
And what's crazy is, like, Kirby Smart last year, the thing he kept saying about Ellis is he's so good in the air. And that's the way where he has not been great so far this year.
Right. Well, Cody, what makes a quarterback 5-star coming out of high school? He's 6'5". Right. He's got a cannon as an arm, and he can run. Right. Now, what makes a quarterback a preseason? We need to watch this quarterback. All those same things, right?
Right.
Nussmeier, Arch Manning, all those guys check the boxes. They should be really good. We hadn't seen Arch Manning play any meaningful snaps ever in high school. He played at Newman, right? And he ran around those private school kids that he should be running around. And the reason why a guy is 5-star is you've got physical traits that are exceptional. Ellis Robinson checks that box. He's tall, he's long, he can run. That doesn't automatically make you a good quarterback, defensive back, offensive tackle, whatever that position group is that allows you the space to be identified as a 5-star. Stetson Bennett was never going to be a 5-star. He does not fit. He can run. Great. He's 6 foot, right? All those players, I think Ladd McConkey coming out of high school, who said this little bitty short white guy is going to be a stud wide receiver, one of the best? Doesn't check the boxes. You know who else doesn't? Brock Bowers. I'm off on a tangent here, but my point is we come in with skill sets and we come in with physical traits, and that's kind of where those rankings are. It doesn't automatically make you great at that position. Ellis Robinson could be a really, really good, great even cornerback. He's not yet. Does he have the physical tools to be great? Yes, I'm sure he does. But he's not a great cornerback right now. So there is improvement. When Coach Smart at the end of the game is saying we're a good team that must get better, I think he's talking about players like Ellis, that you're capable. His ceiling is through the roof. It's as high, if not higher, than any player on that team. You've got to live into that. And right now, he's not there yet. And I'm not saying that
he didn't play last year, so he's 4 games in his career, essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah. He can still get there for all those players. And I think that's what allows you to come to the University of Georgia is you've got physical traits or for transfers have shown it at other places that you're exceptional. So all these guys, the whole roster is exceptional, but you've got to utilize those gifts and tools that these guys have. I got a question for you, Cody.
All right.
This is one of my tangents, okay? So just staring at the squirrel over there. Follow me here. Where is Noah?
Yeah.
Number 1 wide receiver for Texas A&M, ball playing Jesse. I mean, this guy made plays everywhere. Where is he? What happened to him? What's going on there?
Yeah, and I can't figure out if drew a couple penalties at Tennessee. So he's en route, but that means if he's drawing penalties, the guy's right on him, which it says, well, maybe he's not getting open. But yeah, he's not shown up anywhere.
Where is he?
I mean, you're spending a lot of money to get him here to not use him.
Yeah. We had 2 really big free agent,
right?
NIL transfer portal wide receiver pickups. One lived up to the billing from day one. Zachariah Branch, unbelievable. Electric playmaker.
Yeah.
The other, this tall drink of water from Texas A&M that, he makes a lot of plays for them. What happened? Where is he?
I don't know if it's because Zachariah comes in with this mindset, and I don't know if is it a Georgia fit thing? I do wonder, like, is he just not, whether it is like Zachariah, even as tall as he is going to go out there and block. He's going to go out there and work hard. I don't know if that's something that doesn't endear you to the coaching staff as well. To get you those opportunities. It does seem like a lot of times it's like we're going to pay you off for doing this hard work kind of thing. So It is a big question.
I love to find out. Love to see it.
There's still a lot of season left. He can show up, but it's a Noah show, says no show for UGA Marine. There you go. All right, we're going to wrap it up here for today. Appreciate Jon coming in studio with us, doing it DawgNation Daily here with us today and hanging out for the whole hour plus now as we are closing in on noon. So Kirby Smart going to talk at noon. We will have that as soon as he gets done up on our DawgNation YouTube channel. We'll be back tomorrow for more DawgNation Daily. It is the daily podcast for Georgia Bulldogs fans. Today it was presented by Pella Window and Door of Georgia. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.